Welcome, everyone. Michael Dotterer here, and it's Vitae on the Dot, brought to you by Nirvana Gold. And on our show, we don't have commercials, and we don't have. Let me just look here. Oh, we don't break for commercials. We don't, say interrupt anybody for commercials. But we will share at the beginning. So I just want to let everyone know that this portion of Vitae on the Dot, brought to you by Nirvana Gold, is sponsored by Nirvana Gold. Nirvana Gold is an amazing product. The gummies, I had a gummy this morning. It gives me energy. There are millions of people out there don't realize that cannabis can give you energy. And I had a Soothe tablet, which helps me with my aches and pains from my years playing football. And it helps calm me as well. So two great products from Nirvana Gold, Restore and Soothe. If you want more information, get in touch with me. I'm all over the internet. Be happy to help you. You can go to club-nirvana.com to find out more about Nirvana Gold, or you could also go to nirvanagoldrush.com if you want to become a customer or a member. So with that, I am so excited today because the founder, CEO of Vitae, and this show is his. I'm just the Jim McMahon, so I'm going to get off quickly. But he gave me the greatest gift that anyone could ever give me. He gave me the gift of discovering my family and my family, people that in my family that have passed. And he said, Dot, I want you to go on to Vitae, and I want you to find out everything about your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and your great-great-grandparents. And he's even said, Mike, you can get your great-great-great-grandparents. And I called my uncle today in New York, and I told him things. And my Uncle Tom is, he's going on close to 90 years old, and he still has his faculty, still working. He's still baseball coach, still coaching baseball. And I shared with him information about his great-grandparents that he didn't know. And that's thanks to Jim Rutter. And Jim, I'm just full of gratitude, so appreciative, Jim, for you giving me that gift. And maybe that's a good way to start and kick off the show, because there's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people, billions that don't know the power of Vitae.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. It's always fun to talk about what we have cooking at Vitae. Vitae is an identity expression platform, different than many mainstream social networking sites, in that you can really not only establish your identity, and that can consist of everything from your affiliations, your academic background, your sports activities, recreationally, or maybe you played on sports teams, your accomplishments, your experiences, essentially everything that you have experienced in life and everything that someone would use to describe you. And we've made it possible to put that in digital form, and then we've connected it with an online presence that allows you to discover things you have in common with other people. It's amazing, really. You talk about some of our loved ones, the ones that have passed on, and the ability to represent them digitally and preserve their memories. It's a way of keeping them alive, by keeping alive who they really were, not just the start and end date to their time on this planet, but rather all of the interesting things they did while they were here. And Vitae, which is Latin for life, Vitae does not focus on just legacy and ancestry at all. That happens to be one small slice of the overall Vitae platform, but it is an important one because it allows you to really see the value of preserving and passing on the memory and the very essence of a person's existence. And that is a little bit unusual for people that are not used to dealing in genealogy and ancestry and setting up legacy information about their loved ones. Usually that kind of thing gets passed along through word of mouth with a family. You pass on some notes or old photo albums you've pulled out of your attic. It's very difficult to organize that, to put it online, to make it accessible where you can share it with your friends, grandchildren, your parents, whoever it may be. We've done that with Vitae. We've allowed you to create a profile. We call it a Vitae, and that Vitae is the most comprehensive description of all the things you would choose to share about yourself, and then see how you're connected with other people. That's where it completely differentiates itself from other places like Facebook or Wikipedia or LinkedIn or Ancestry.com. We really have found a way to fully express a person's being. And that's difficult to do because it is not any single one thing. It's not just where you work. It's not just where you went to school or just the sports you excelled at. It's everything in your life, which, and as I think maybe this discussion will lead to, it can include an enormous scope and breadth of activity and an incredible amount of detail and focus. And you'd be described the rabbit hole that is created by discovery of the interesting things about other people is really unbelievable. It's singular as an experience. And as you said, for a person, especially older people that are looking back on their lives and they enjoy reflecting and remembering, it's an incredible exercise for them. In fact, the senior market for us, when we get people to be a little less technophobic, they get a little more comfortable with social media and with online tools to help them create a story of their lives and pass that on to the people that are going to want to remember them. It's an incredible thing. It gives them a small slice of immortality in a way, because when we're gone, what do we really have? We have the love for our friends and our families, and we have our experiences. The rest of the stuff, you can't take it with you. That's the famous maxim. You cannot take it with you. Well, in the case of Vitae, we're trying to make sure that when we walk our journey, that it gets represented in a way that people can enjoy. That's what obituaries and tombstones, all they're marking people's memories, but they're archaic. They are outdated, Mike. We need to find a better way where we can not only preserve the critical information about people's lives, but then make it possible for others to enjoy it. We've had a missed opportunity by just saying, here's a dash in between a person's life. They lived from 1912 to 1994, and none of the good stuff. So we're trying to change that at Vitae.
Yeah, it was amazing, Jim. Last night, I don't even want to mention how late I was up. It was the wee hours of I could hear the owls hooting outside. It was so exciting to get this information onto Vitae, and then I'm calling. I'm going to call all my relatives and just let them know. And I'm not selling them anything. That's the one thing with me. It's like, oh, Mike, what are you selling me now? I'm not selling anything. I'm sharing love about our ancestors. And give an idea. I found out that I have Shanahans in my background, in my family background. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I might go down to the 49ers headquarters and tell Coach Shanahan, hey, Coach, we're related. I go right back to County Cork or County Tipperary, and you can see there's the Shanahan. There was a Shannon O'Shanahan. So that's just, again, Jim, it's exciting because I know that's just a sliver. And, Jim, would you like me to go on and share my screen so people can see what we're talking about?
Absolutely. See some method to our madness. The reality is that data about people's lives, particularly those that have gone before us, has usually been recorded in birth, marriage, and death certificates, in ship manifests, in census data, in tombstones and obituaries, which originally were in newspapers, then they went online and all, but it's still very difficult to organize that information and then get the kind of richness, the kind of true comprehensive nature that we're shooting for and gunning for at Vitae that makes it so special. The ability to not only aggregate that information, but then present it in an accessible form. There are some really good services out there that allow you, to check your genetic information and find out more about your ancestry and find out about your family trees. This is not a family tree company. We're taking relationships. Data can be people, places, things, events, trophies, venues. It can be all these different things. Our logic puts all of these together in a connected form and allows us then to put that back to the user to see some extraordinary things, as I think you're about to show your viewers.
Yeah, I'm just showing them right now. I've got the, my eight grandparents. I looked them up and I was able to put it in, and then I discovered, the next level is and I'll just type that in. You just go to Mike Dotterer right at the top, and you'll see.
Just Mike 16 will do it, Mike.
Mike, 16. I'll just do the. Where's the 16? I just put 6. So I just do SIX.
It won't show up unless you put apostrophe S, because that's the way it's written.
Okay, there's Mike Dotterer's.
Yep.
And
16.
16.
No, in number form, please.
Oh, number form. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Now, here, this was something my Uncle Tom, who has studied this, and I haven't filled it out completely. Obviously, I've only got one, but I have about 8 of them that I'm going to be putting in today. And it's just so exciting because I just was unaware of it. And so, Jim, I just want to thank you. But, here's an example. If I go to
let's give people my 16 to show them an example. Just go to Jim 16.
Jim 16. Here we go.
You'll see what a more complete one looks like. And remember, people, we're not divining this with a magic wand. It takes work to research and gather information, but it is out there. And especially if you crowdsource it from various sources, including your own family. So once you put this together, most people don't have the energy or the know-how to conduct a process like this. But let me tell you, there is an incredible payoff. Right now, you can go in one click, see every one of my 16 great-great-grandparents. That's another standard deviation above the 8 great-grandparents. And if you went to my 8 great-grandparents, remember that not 1 in 10,000 people can even name their great-grandparents. It's very difficult to remember that. And so the idea that you can not only show them in an organized form, but show everything that you, your family, and the historic record can tell you about those individuals in a connected format. It's unprecedented.
Jim, let's just pick one of your 16. Let's pick one of them, the 16 grandparents. Which one can we pick here? Because let's talk about one of them.
Go to George Austin Rudder right there, top
right
one.
At the top. Yeah, let's talk about George Austin Rudder. Now look at this. There he is. Tell our audience, Jim, about George Austin Rudder, who was born in 1841. Your relative, your great-great-grandfather.
Right. So I can't say I knew George well, considering that he died in 1917. But he is on my paternal side. He is a great grandfather of mine, right? And he actually was a member of the Union Army. And if you notice, he was a member of the Indiana Volunteers, the 42nd Indiana Infantry there, top.
You know what? If we click that 46th Regiment Indian Infantry, would there be other members there?
Well, let's see.
Let's see. The 42nd Regiment of Indiana.
We haven't populated all the military data, but we've allowed for the relations to be created by having the companies, having the Army battalion level, at the company level, in every branch of the armed forces. It's part of the pre-population effort here.
There's 2 members.
The other one happens to be his brother, and they both served. And we actually have a Civil War rifle that's part of the family heirlooms. It's on the wall above my father's roll-top desk, which also dates back into the 19th century. But it's great because you start to bring these people to life by getting an image. If you can scour your old family albums or boxes of old slides or whatever it may be, if you can bring them to life by telling you more than just what their name was and when they lived and died, but the relationship they have to you, and were they in military service? Did they belong to a fraternity? Did they start a company? Did they like a certain type of pet dog? Whatever it may be that made them unique and individual, this is at least a palette, a canvas that you can paint that picture of who this person was. So no, I can't. Vitae cannot suddenly create the entire history of your family at the push of a button. That artificial intelligence doesn't really exist with any kind of accuracy or gathering capability at this point. However, that's where we may be going. But the point being that it provides you an opportunity to build that in a way that's never been designed before. And if you've dealt with some of the very fine genealogy companies, ancestry companies, you can do a family tree. And you have an opportunity to add some details and all. But this, every single detail about a person can not only be expressed, but leads you into everyone else who shares that similar characteristic. They were born on the same day. They had the same astrological sign. They collected the same types of antique German beer steins, whatever it may be. And that's where it truly gets fascinating, because you learn about a person, you learn about their background, and suddenly they're not just an entry into a family tree. They become one of your forefathers, one of your ancestors, and they have a certain element of authenticity and reality that we think is critical.
Well, I can't, since we've talked about your great grandfather, George Austin, I've got to ask you about Sarah Frances Fanny Damon McIlraith?
McElroy?
McElroy, I'm sorry.
Sure.
McElroy. Tell us about Fanny.
Well, I can tell you, like in my case, my father, who's Richard Remmel Rudder, his father was Cloudsley Damon Rudder. Cloudsley Damon's Rudder was Effie Ann McElroy, and her mother was Sarah Frances Fanny Damon. And my father never got a chance to meet her because my father wasn't born for another 9 years after this. But he knows how we're related. I know how we're related. I can pass that on to my son or his son in a way that gets lost in history. Otherwise, we didn't have the kind of digital tools in the past that allowed us to do this. Now we can. You can digitize, you can organize, you can express. Then you will be able to share. All along, sometimes someone comes up with say, "Oh, well, Frances Fanny Damon was a registered nurse, or she served in she was a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution." Anything that you could determine about her in the future can be added on, just layer after layer of relations that will continue to enhance and expand the relationship that you now have with someone that lived 100 years before you.
Well, and what I love about it, she attended school in Massachusetts, Lawrence Academy at Groton. They're the Lawrence Spartans, and I'm going to click that school right now because I love going to schools and seeing, and I'm going to follow the school, and I'm going to do thumbs up now. I don't know the history of this school, but I would suspect there might be an about us. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. There's the link.
Yeah, I don't know whether that school still survives.
Lawrence Academy at Groton is a private selective.
I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So you're able to, you have links in there that can take you, and you can learn about your great grandmother's high school.
Well, we can not only tell, look, you have to have the information, right? You have to know that she attended that school. This is a way to express and store that information. So once you know things, which are, what was her occupation? How big was her family? Was she the oldest, the youngest? Was she one of 5 sisters? Did she have 7 siblings? Was she born in Groton? Where did she go to school? Was she in the Girl Scouts? Did she have children of her own? Was she an identical twin? I mean, there are literally thousands of things you can know about a person. We can't just divine it, but we can discover it if someone supplies that information. So we crowdsource through everyone that might have some sort of perspective on Sarah Damon McElroy. It may be someone that has her as a great-great-grandmother or something that I haven't even met before. Because the way family ancestry works, people spread out and they share common ancestors, and they may never meet during their lives. One of the great things and the exciting things about genealogy is you can find people that, hey, maybe you never met, maybe you never grew up in the same state or attended the same schools, but your great-grandparents were on the same fencing team, or your great-grandparents were in the same Masonic lodge, or they were in the Bohemian Club, or they visited Niagara Falls in the 1920s. Whatever it is that unites people it's those common elements of experience. Those are the elements that create and foster closer human relations, having things in common, discovering things in common, having fun talking about it. Because otherwise, what would I have in common with someone that's living now in Arkansas and is in the education field? I wouldn't necessarily have anything in common with them. But then you find out, hey, we both had great grandparents that grew up in Indiana and belonged to the same Indiana Volunteers, or whatever it may be. It's an incredible journey, and you never know what you're going to find.
It's like what did Forrest Gump say about chocolate?
You never know what you're going to get. Yeah,
exactly. It's just amazing. I mean, what you've put together, Jim, you and your team at Vitae, it's just so exciting. And I guess is there any place else that you'd like us to show our audience? Anything where you want me to go, since I've got the ability to do that? Do you want me to type in anything?
Yeah, I mean, you can shoot, Mike. I mean, we cover, just so that people know, we cover essentially everything. And what I mean by that is every possible category.
Let's bring one up. Let's bring one up right now. Just bring one up. Tell me what do you want me to type in?
Oh, I mean, let's say you were a member.
Let's do music.
You were a Freemason, because someone in the 1800s, what is it likely that you could learn about them? Usually it would be that they were a member of a political party, they belonged to a church, they were part of a fraternal order, because they didn't have the things that we have today. They weren't playing on professional sports teams. There were no professional sports teams. There were no, there wasn't a Rotary Club, but there were Freemasons, there were Shriners.
Sugar Ray Robinson was a Freemason. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's probably a member of several boxing halls of fame too.
Well, here we go. Here we go. Athletes featured on the United States Postal Service. Now look at this, folks. You will never, ever, it would be so difficult. I shouldn't say never, because you never say never. It'd be very difficult for you to look up athletes featured on a United States Postal Service stamp. Well, let's go ahead and look at some of these. We've got Babe Ruth, Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, Mickey Mantle, Ernie Nevers, Francis de Sales Ouimet, who I know he was a great movie made about him. I remember that movie. Walter Camp, Arthur Ashe, Bronco Nagurski, and Glenn Pop Warner. Now,
so Mike, it's not impossible that people can determine. You can Google and find lists of people that were on a postage stamp, right? But this is just one element of the entirety of their lives, and then you find a way that presents it this way instead of just in a narrative list. It gives you a set of connected profiles, and that's where the magic really comes in. Because you go through the rabbit hole, you go, okay, well, let's see. If Jackie Robinson was this, what else do I know about Jackie Robinson?
Yeah, let me just throw out a little tidbit here. I just became, because I love this category, athletes featured on the United States Postal Service stamp. I just clicked followed and I hit thumbs up. And people don't know this, but there's a little competition here where you've created this Quan, which is like digital currency, which it is. Quan is going to be a digital currency, no doubt about it, digital currency. But I love there's a little competition here, because as I become a fan of this site, there's our good friend, Mr. Jim Leibus, and I'm going to refresh and watch what happens. The number one fan is...
Well, Mike, you have a higher rating in terms of popularity, at least on Vitae Your Sports. Yes, we designed the platform to show people the amount of activity they have, to reward them with Quan, as we call it. Remember the ambassador of Quan from the Jerry Maguire movie? We use Quan as a way of rewarding people for their activity. So you can gift Quan, you can get Quan, you can earn Quan. It's almost like mining Bitcoin, but it is not a cryptocurrency yet. But
here we go. We go to Jackie Robinson, and I'll show everyone how you can give a little Quan. So here is a great video of Jackie stealing home. So let me click that. Let's click that. There's Jackie.
With pinch batter Frank Keller at bat.
And they're playing. It looks like they're. Yeah, there goes Jackie. Is that Yogi catching? Is that Yogi Berra?
Mike, so you're
That's Yogi.
You're an
Hey,
accomplished.
man, now watch what I do. I'm going to give Quan. I'm not just going to give a head nod. I'm going to give a tip of the cap. So I just gave Quan to who did I just give Quan to?
I think. Well, you didn't share it. You just gave it to Jackie's website. So if there was someone running Jackie's profile for Your Sports and it was a verified, authorized user to administer that profile, they would be building up a bank of Quan. But I wanted to ask you, as a former baseball player, Mike, is that an experience that we should be logging? Did you ever steal home?
I did steal home. I don't. Unfortunately, I played football, so I got hit in the head a few times. So I don't remember actually the details of me stealing home. But I do actually.
At what level did you do it? Did you do it in the minors, in college, in high school?
I think I did it in college. I think I did. But again, I can't. My memory. I do know one thing I did do.
You may have to check with Donna Vargas. She was scoring all those games.
Maybe Donna. Yeah, Donna's in Colorado. But I do remember, and some of our audience might laugh at this. I was playing in Reno, Nevada. It was Babe Ruth League. And it was bases loaded. I was on first base, and I forgot that the bases were loaded. I don't know why, but guess who stole second with the bases loaded?
That leaves a lot of people that it could have been.
Yeah. So anyway, this is an amazing. When you look at, like, I love we're here.
Did you get dragged out, by the way?
No, they actually caused a riot because our coach got so upset.
Didn't be the first time.
There was a riot in the stands because, but here, Pasadena City College. Now, Pasadena City College. Now, this is interesting. We got to get Jackie's high school in there because it didn't look like his high school is there, but we'll get it in there. But Pasadena City College I love going to, this is a great school, Pasadena City College, and I'll go to where they say attendees, and I click attendees, and this is where you can discover things. Here's some people that went to Pasadena City College. There's his brother, Mac Robinson, who was a great athlete. Some people say Mac was a better athlete than Jackie. Now, I didn't know David Lee Roth of Van Halen went to Pasadena City College.
I passed by his house in Pasadena not 2 months ago. Yeah.
Let's go to here we go. David Lee Roth. Now, this is, these are the things that you just, you call it going down the rabbit hole, but you just don't have these experiences in any other social network. And what is the exact here? I got to write this down. And I know you're already thinking about it, but here it is. Here are the exact words. This is the mother of all identity expression platforms. This is the mother of all identity expression platforms. And I'm not going to take the credit for that. Actually,
of course, that does imply that there will be offspring from this mother someday, and who knows, maybe there will be, and we'll all trace it back to the origins of Vitae. But it is true that I don't think there's a place anywhere. There are lots of individual places where you could cover music bands, or you could cover sports, or you could cover politics, religion, philosophy, art, culture, music, whatever it may be. Can you do it all in one place?
Yeah.
Can you do it all in one place and learn all of the, not the 10% of a person, but the 110%?
Yeah. We're going to go back to live here, Jim. It's so exciting because I'm going to brag here, folks. I am going to brag, and it's Jim's show. It's Vitae, but I'm going to brag. I'm going to put this up with Nirvana Gold, which, by the way, I love my beef jerky, and I love my salve and my creams. Unbelievable. But that Nirvana Gold is on its way to becoming a legacy company. It's this company, Vitae, I will put in the category of Amazon. When no one ever thought they would be selling books on the internet, I will put this vision you have, Jim, for Vitae potentially one of the biggest things I've ever been a part of. And it's so exciting because everything we do in life is based on relationships, right?
Well, there's still an extraordinary amount of execution to do to make this dream a reality, but it is a live operating platform. And I encourage people to dip their feet in and see what it's all about. What I will say, Mike, when it comes to thinking about the future, the ability to provide value and have that be applicable not to one small constituency or little market segment, but essentially to every single person in the world, alive or dead, or in the future. In other words, the elements that go into a profile, a digital profile of an individual, are the same, whether you're Winston Churchill or Mike Dotterer or Bob down the street, your next door neighbor. We all are human beings. We're all made up of these same core elements of digital DNA, our experiences, our affinities, our affiliations, our experiences, our personality, our accomplishments, our identity, all put together equally in a similar fashion. You may have different experiences, but you're all put together. So you can be put right into the same category as a world famous celebrity. Your profile will look very similar. It's going to have different elements, but your profile looks just the same as Michael Jordan's or LeBron James or Leo Messi or Yvonne Lendl or Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
You know what's
crafting goes on.
You know what's amazing? For all of those that are listening all around the world, because we're streaming live on Facebook, we're streaming live on YouTube, we're streaming live on Twitch and Periscope, which also streams it to Twitter. For all of you that are listening live or going to listen to this later at your leisure, every single person out there deserves to have a Wikipedia page, in my opinion. Every single person is an amazing person. All of you that are listening, Vitae will give you that ability to do it. And I believe, Jim, Wikipedia is a great source. We're going to use it for, I just showed you, we just clicked, we just used it because it was on there. There was a link to learn more. But that ability to say everybody, because Wikipedia, you got to be a superstar to be Wikipedia. And that's wrong. And Vitae is going to correct it. Vitae is on its way to changing the identity expression platform industry.
I do like to think we're a bit of a sleeping dragon, Mike. People don't recognizing the profound impact of this innovation. I don't mean to oversell what we're doing, but I do think that people are a little bit asleep as to how important this is to do. In other words, do not miss your opportunity, because you never know what tomorrow brings with yourself, with your parents, with your grandparents, with that favorite coach, that favorite teacher, with your own kids, with your family dog. Give them a presence, connect them up, and preserve that legacy for all time. Hopefully everybody lives for another 100 years. But the reality is your journey in life is finite. And here is your opportunity to do yourself a solid. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, and get people on. That may sound self-serving, but honestly, this entire project is driven by the desire to help people take a look at their lives and find a way to express and share that with others, because the enhancement of human relationships is the most important thing to success in life, in my opinion, because you're not going to be able to take it with you, but you will be able to take your life experiences, and that's what Vitae is all about.
Hallelujah. And Jim, I just want to let everyone know that if they would like to get on and to live a more connected life, sign up for free at www.yoursports.com. And it's flashing down there. You can see the little ticker tape. And
well, thank you, Mike. And I really do appreciate it. It's great to get in front of people and allow them to understand the opportunity that's presented. It is free. It is relatively easy. You will get there and have very little idea what you're supposed to do. Let us help you. Communicate, ask, look, explore, You will discover things that you would want to add to your own profile. It is addictive. And most people have no idea we even exist. So we're the best kept secret of the internet, and we'd like you to unlock that today.
And let's make 2021 a great, beautiful year. And with Vitae and with connecting your family, learning about your history, other people's history, music, actors, masonry, Freemasonry. I mean, the list is just, it's mind-boggling. So with that,
hey, if you can come up with elements of the human experience that we have not accounted for, at least by category, I will send you some Quan personally.
You heard it from the CEO. Thank you, Jim. We'll be back on again next week. We try to come on at 11, but thanks to Joe Rogan, he's kind of set the mood. You know, we don't have to come on at 11, but we try to come on at 11 Pacific. This time we were a little bit late, 12:15, and that's 3-hour difference back east. And then around the world, I love this because there's people from all over the world listening. Thank you for your time. And we'll see you back next week. Thanks, Jim.
Great, Mike. Appreciate the opportunity.